Start your computations.
Rosie and Klaus Productions present to you an audiobook called Lady and the Tramp. This book is read by Holly. Jim Deere and his wife, Darling, were celebrating their first Christmas together, and Jim wanted to be really special. He gave his wife a present, and when she unwrapped it, out popped a cute little spaniel pup. Darling attached a pretty collar onto the puppy. "You are so pretty and elegant," cooed Darling, "that I am going to call you Lady. And here's a basket and blanket so you can have your own bed." The months passed and Lady grew. She was the happiest dog in the world. Jim and Darling loved her very much and played with her every day. As spring turned into summer, Jim and Darling played less and less with Lady. They seemed to spend all their time talking about somebody called Baby. "Who is this Baby?" wondered Lady. She felt very left out. One afternoon, a strange dog poked his head into Lady's garden. He was rather scruffy and didn't even have a collar. Lady wondered, what type of dog could this be? The stranger was called Tramp. When he asked Lady what her name was, she turned her back and said, "Sorry, but I never give my name to strangers." Tramp turned to go, but before he left, he smiled and said, "I have feelings we are going to meet again. Goodbye, Lady." "How do you know my name?" demanded Lady, astonished. The next day, when Lady visits the Darling's bedroom, there was a crib next to the bed. Darling was holding a baby boy. Lady looked at the baby and smiled. "This must be the baby they have been talking about," she said to herself. "He's almost as cute as a puppy." Everything went well in the happy household. A few months later, Jim and Darling decided to go on holiday. They asked Sarah, who is the Darling's aunt, to come and look after Lady and the baby while they were away. But Aunt Sarah didn't come alone. She brought two strange creatures with her, and they had an evil look in their blue eyes. They were Sarah's Siamese cats, Si and Am. Aunt Sarah never went anywhere without her cats. Once they were out of their baskets, the cats swished up to Lady, saying, "You better keep out our way. We don't like dogs." Lady thought they were very unfriendly. To make matters worse, Lady had a feeling that Aunt Sarah didn't like dogs very much. She watched sadly as Jim and Darling waved goodbye to Sarah. "Please don't leave me," she silently pleaded. Aunt Sarah went to check on the baby, and as soon as the two naughty cats saw her leave the room, they jumped onto the furniture and tried to catch poor Canary in its cage and the little fish in its bowl. When Sarah came to see what the noise was all about, she accused Lady of causing all the trouble and chased her outside with a broom. Lady was furious to be threatened so unfairly. She decided to run away and not come back until Jim and Darling returned home. "I've had enough of Aunt Sarah and her cats," she said to herself. Lady wandered the streets for hours and finally found herself in a grubby, seedy part of town. Suddenly she heard barking and was terrified when she saw some fierce dogs ready to attack. To Lady's astonishment, Tramp appeared. He bounded up to Lady and bravely fought off the dogs who were surrounding her. It didn't take him long to see the brutes off, and they ran away. Lady was so relieved to be safe and to have someone to talk to that she told Tramp about all her problems with Aunt Sarah and the cats. "Come on," said Tramp. "Before anything else, we need a good meal." Tramp took Lady to an Italian restaurant he knew. The owner, Tony, was a great friend of Tramp's. He brought them a big plate of spaghetti, and while they ate, he played beautiful Italian songs on his accordion. "Oh, this is wonderful," sighed Lady delightedly to Tramp. After their dinner, Lady and Tramp went to the park for a romantic moonlight walk. The two dogs gazed at one another tenderly as they walked. At the end of a day full of adventure and new feelings, the two new friends went to sleep under the stars. The next morning, Lady felt so much better. She and Tramp explored the outskirts of town. She was enjoying her walk when suddenly Tramp heard a clucking of some chickens in the garden. "Do you hear that, Lady? Chickens! Chickens mean eggs, and eggs mean breakfast," cried Tramp. Before Lady could stop him, he leaped right into the chicken coop. "Stop," Lady yelled, "you'll get cold." But Tramp didn't hear her. He was too busy chasing the chickens around. The farmer was so angry that he called for the dog catcher to come and catch Tramp. Tramp managed to escape, but poor Lady, who couldn't run as fast, was caught and bundled into the dog catcher's wagon. The dog pound was a gloomy place, and Lady, who had never been locked up before, trembled with fear. Luckily, the other dogs were kind to her. "There's nothing to be scared of," said one of them. "Your name and address is on your collar. Your owners will be looking for you." He was right. The next day, one of the guards took Lady home. Once again, Aunt Sarah was angry with Lady. This time, she took Lady outside and chained her to the kennel. Lady was so ashamed. She had never been put on a chain before. Tramp arrived, relieved to see Lady again, but she was angry with him. "Look at me, I'm a prisoner," she shouted. "This is all your fault. Go away, I never want to see you again." Tramp slunk away slowly. Lady had never felt so sad and lonely in her life. She couldn't sleep and wished that Jim and Darling would come home soon. She had thought that Tramp was her friend, but all he had done was make things worse. Suddenly, she saw a shadowy figure creeping towards the house. It was an enormous rat. The rat climbed onto the roof and slipped through the open window of the baby's bedroom. As Lady barked and tried to get free, Tramp heard the barking and came running to help. Lady, still pulling on her chain, explained what she had seen. "There's no time to lose," barked Tramp. Luckily, the kitchen door was ajar, and Tramp raced into the house, followed by Lady, who had at last managed to break free from her chain. They charged upstairs to the baby's bedroom. Then Tramp spotted the rat and launched himself at it. The uproar woke the baby, and the baby woke Aunt Sarah, who hurried into the bedroom, but she didn't see the dead rat. She was concentrating on the two dogs. "Out!" she yelled. "Down the cellar, now!" And with that, Lady and Tramp found themselves locked in the basement. Aunt Sarah called the dog catcher, who came in his wagon to take the Tramp away. Jim and Darling arrived just as the dog wagon with Tramp in it was moving. "What on earth is going on?" asked Jim. Aunt Sarah told them her version of events. Jim turned to Lady and said, "Lady, what's all this? Have you been behaving badly?" Lady had to show them the dead rat. Maybe then they would understand what really happened. Lady bounded up the stairs, barking for them to follow her. In the bedroom, Lady showed them the dead rat. "Good heavens," said Aunt Sarah. "I thought, Lady, and other mangy dog wanted to harm the baby. I must get that dog back before he arrives at the compound, said Jim anxiously. He took Lady, hailed a taxi cab, and soon caught up with the dog catcher's wagon. He explained to the driver what had happened, and Tramp was set free. Jim saw how happy Lady was and began to laugh. "So, you love this brave dog, do you?" he said. "Perhaps we'd better invite him to come and live with us then." Lady thought that was a very good idea. Tramp had never lived in a house before. He was so happy to be living with Jim and Darling, and of course his beloved Lady. Then when Christmas time came around, there were 1, 2, 3, 4 puppies playing under the Christmas tree. Lady and Tramp were very proud of their family. It was truly a wonderful Christmas.